Hi everybody, this is the Football Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, and welcome back to the Football Hut. And of course, hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. We'll talk about the Shedeur Sanders. It's pretty damn funny in my view. Now, as you know, he was supposed to go like in the top 5 picks of the 2025 NFL Draft, but that did not happen because it seems like Deion's son did not take well to some of the interviews. I would mention, and I think this is important to understand, Deion Sanders does not have a thick skin either, especially when he played baseball. Did not like being criticized when he played for the Atlanta Braves, and let it be known when he dumped champagne and beer on broadcast late Tim McCarver. It's a pretty famous video. You go look it up, and it shows how he did not like being criticized. So this is a family trait of not being criticized by anybody and not taking well to it. But I got from Yahoo Sports an interesting article. More rumors emerge on why Giants, Steelers, and the Saints passed on Shedeur Sanders, including thin skin from Big Ego. Again, his father did not like being criticized. Okay, so this is one of the real negative traits of the family. Great athletes, but very thin-skinned. Shedeur Sanders' thin skin when being criticized during interviews about his on-the-field shortcomings also played a role in why the Giants, Steelers, and Saints passed on him in the 2025 NFL Draft. There was no bigger story during this year's draft than Colorado star Shedeur Sanders' fall from being a projected top 10 pick to a 5th round selection. In the last few days, many reports and rumors have emerged about the reason behind his steep drop. Well, popular podcaster Colin Cowherd, who's a dope, has offered up a couple of others heard from sources in the NFL. His sources are shaky, by the way. Quote, a lot of times when you go to these combine meetings, teams give you things to challenge you. Teams will have a player's worst plays ready for them and say, hey, why don't you explain them? Cowherd said on a new edition of The Herd. Shedeur apparently didn't take to it well. And at one point, one of the few teams that actually was interested in him said, what do you make of this really bad play? And Shedeur said, maybe I'm not that guy for you. Oh, my goodness. Oh, boy. That's not the answer, since there were only 3 or 4 teams that were going to consider drafting him. Another one. What they do during the combine means is that teams will install mistakes intentionally planted in, and they want you to catch them, he added. Shedeur didn't, and when a coach called him out, once again, he didn't answer it well. There has been a lot of talk for weeks about the physical limitations that Sanders has. However, a very important element of being a starting quarterback at any level is being a leader. That player has to be able to deal with the slings and arrows the position gets from fans and media. If true, it makes it understandable why many teams felt he wasn't worth drafting in the first few rounds. Because not only were there big questions about his physical skills, but he created huge red flags on his mental makeup during interviews in February, which is why organizations in major markets like the Giants, the Steelers, and Saints passed on the young quarterback. Well, like I said, this is not a family trait. Being thin-skinned is how Deion is. Deion doesn't like being criticized either, well, especially when he's playing baseball. He did not like being criticized. I would mention and say I thought it was funny that the former head coach of the Jets, his son, prank called him during draft night, telling him that he was a member of the Seahawks, telling him that he was getting drafted. What's funny about goofing on people that have no sense of humor is then you get them getting them really pissed off. To me, I find that funnier than making fun of people that are in on the joke. You want to make fun of people that aren't in on the joke, because then they don't know how to handle it. And the fact that a son of a coach did this, he must have known that Sanders wouldn't have taken this well. He had to know that. And then meanwhile, you got the Falcons apologizing for this situation. No need to apologize. These things, these things happen. I thought it was funny, but he does not have a thick skin, and his father didn't have a thick skin either. So it's not a surprise that this happened. That he went in there with this bad attitude and Didn't want to be criticized by the teams. I mean, really, they do all these sort of workouts. They make you run and throw, all this agility stuff. But really what it comes down to is, do the teams feel comfortable you leading their team and being the face of their team, especially when it gets a little rough. It gets very rough here in New York. And I guess the Giants talked to him, said, this guy, we don't like this guy. He doesn't have a great personality to deal with. Instead, the Giants drafted Jackson Dart, and we'll see how he is. But, this was a disaster for the Sanders family. They lost a ton of money. He lost a ton of money with this lousy attitude. You get asked a question, and your answer is supposedly, well, I'm not the right guy for you then. That's not the right answer. That's a bad answer. Well, you let me know what you think about this video. And, of course, please subscribe to the Football Hut, and I'll see you later.